All right, I'm looking at this story as this is a request from Richard West, and I appreciate you, Richard. I know you're working hard, doing what you got to do out there. Looking forward to seeing your next video or short, whatever it may be, whenever it may be. This is out of your neck of the woods, I guess, huh? One victim dead, two injured in a shooting at the Old Dominion University campus in Virginia. I'm going to play this clip just so I can get a little bit more familiar with what's going on here. I already have some information, but let's see if there's any more in here that could help us out.
Today, the FBI responded, along with our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners, to Old Dominion University. What we know now is there's one deceased victim and two at the hospital. I'd like to acknowledge the students who showed extreme bravery and courage by containing the containing the shooter and stopping further loss of life. The FBI is now the lead investigative agency investigating this as an act of terrorism.
I will say that there's a 13 on the mic right there. Okay. And yesterday was Friday the 13th. Remember Bam Adebayo with the 83 points, 13 on his jersey, and all of those 13s connected to Kobe Bryant as well. There's that number 13 directly in front of this person speaking.
The shooter has been identified as Mohammed Baylor Jallo. In 2016, Jallo was arrested and pled guilty for attempting to provide material support to ISIL, now known as ISIS. Jallo was sentenced to prison in October of 2017 and was released from prison in 2024. FBI Norfolk's Joint Terrorism Task Force and our evidence response team responded to the scene, and we will continue to have a physical presence here at the scene as we process the evidence. There were students that were in that room that subdued him, and
if I was in her shoes, she's reading like a script, right, off of a piece of paper. If I was in her shoes, I could probably just genuinely say what happened, right? Them reading off of a piece of paper. I mean, that's interesting. Whatever the excuse is. Okay, they're saying the shooter was like some kind of ISIS guy. Okay. Now, ISIS and ICE, that's interesting, right? Because ISIS kind of sounds like ice, right? You get ICE and ISIS. I think that's interesting as well.
rendered him no longer alive. I don't know how else to say it, but they basically...
Okay, and so this is Norfolk, however you say it. Here, this is still open from my last video. I don't think I put Norfolk in. How's it pronounced, Richard? Norfolk or Norfolk? Okay, so I'm gonna see if this matches with anything else I entered already. No, I don't see it. That's okay. Okay, so this is what I have here. Let me open up. Now, this is obviously connected to other stories on the world stage. Okay, check this out. So, and again, full cause of death of the shooter not determined. They're saying, okay, but we did get a name, right? Let me ask Google. I heard her say a name. Who's the shooter at Old Dominion University? Let's see. I could not remember what she said. Name. Let me see. Um, shooting name. I'm not gonna be able to spell out the name that she gave. Uh Sale of, oh, okay, here's the name right here, okay? Muhammad Baylor Hala or Jala right here. Now that's very important. We could put his name right here. 339 105. Let me see if that matches anything. Just matches some football stuff. Nothing major there. But I could at least like look at these and maybe something will click later. Okay, so back over here. So check this out. Richard, people out there, look at that. How does this shooting happen one day before Old Dominion University, before their birthday? Look at that right there. This shooting, March 12th, one day before the founding anniversary, and that's that 13 again. Founded on the 13th of March, 133, like 13, but straight up the 13 again, the 13th day of March. I just showed you that 13 in front of the mic as that lady was speaking during that video, and Bam Adebayo with the 13 on his jersey, right? The founding anniversary of Old Dominion University on Friday the 13th. Look at that. You get the shooting one day before. That lands really heavy right there. You see Adebayo right there with the 13. You know what? Murder and morgue both equal 83 in the language also. Okay? Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo, 83 points. 13 on his jersey. Notice how it says one victim dead, two injured right there. I don't know. At the time, I was thinking that was like 13, but 1 and 2, 1 plus 2 is 3. I'm not sure what I was thinking with that, but I thought I had like a 13, another 13 in there. But maybe I'll come back to that in a little bit. Virginia equals 127 in the reverse cipher. In a message to the university, Community ODU President Brian Hemphill said the school faced a tragedy on campus. His name has the 127 like Virginia. These people land in certain spots by a code, I'm telling you. Okay? By a code with the 127 right there. Again, that's interesting too, with the number 128 being highly associated with Richard West, who is my fellow decoding buddy who requested this video, fellow YouTube buddy. The 128 highly connected to you, and that's interesting how you said this is close to you, right? That's interesting that the 128, that's one number off right there. And, like I said, this guy has 127 with his name, and he's connected to Virginia, and Virginia has the 127. You want to see something amazing? Shea Gilgeous Alexander is trending in the NBA with his 127th straight game, scoring 20 points or more. And his birthday is 127. I did that video. You can go watch that if you haven't. Connected to Bam Adebayo, connected to Kobe Bryant. All of the same characters that have been popping up lately. Remember, Kobe Bryant died 126. One number before that, 126. So Shea Gilgis Alexander, 127, 127. Now we get the Virginia story, same numbers, 127. The president of the school, 127. OKC Thunder has 119 in ordinal, just like Old Dominion University, 119. Look at, you get the initials as well with this connection. ODU SGH, say Shea Gilgis Alexander. Or wait, I put SGH. I put SGH in there. Hold on. Right? He goes by SGA. Let's go. Let me go over here. But you get the initials, right? Oops, you get the initials. Watch me erase that. Boop, no longer there. Let me SGA. Yeah, look, he pops up right there. Look at right here. He pops up when I put in SGA. You see that? That's his nickname. SGA. Does he have a logo? Oh, oh, look. You see they make shirts. Let's put the shirt. Let's insert the shirt over there. Let's do this. Watch this. But you get the three initials. Let's put the shirt right here. SGA, Shea Gilgis Alexander, and Old Dominion University. Here, is that better? ODU. So you even get the initials there. After the university initially said there were two victims, check that out. Shelton said, whoever that is, authorities learned that there was a third. Look, two victims originally? He's got two on his jersey. Look at that right there. So there ends up being a third victim who brought themselves to a hospital. Is that what I meant by the 1-3? One victim dead, two injured. So that might be, maybe that's the 1-3 I was talking about. So maybe that makes it 1-3. I'm not sure. But, that's big, right? If that is the case. Okay. Again, I appreciate you, Richard. And low key, look at this. Low key, Gilgis Alexander had the 22 in college as well on his jersey. So then he has the 2. I low key think look at the birthdays, Bam Adebayo and Shea Gilgis Alexander. And now they both acquire records trending. You see that? So their birthdays are 6 days apart right there. And it makes me think of like LeBron James. He went to the Heat, put the 6 on his jersey, wins a championship, no coincidence. LeBron and LeBron James equal 66, Lakers 66. But Gilgis Alexander, almost a year older than Bam Adebayo. The reason why this popped up and I noticed their birthdays were 6 days apart, because when I was doing this decode and I was looking at Shea Gilgis Alexander without even trying, I was like, man, I thought he low key kind of looked like Bam Adebayo. I'm not saying it's like a, absolutely undeniable or anything, but I was like, damn. I was just like, damn, like I thought I saw some features or something. As I'm doing a decode, I'm not looking for that stuff. I just notice it when I see it because I look at a lot of characters. Anyways, and then I looked at Bam, also, heavily trending. And I was like, damn, now their birthdays are 6 days apart. But anyways, regardless of how they look, if you believe that to be so or not, these pictures don't really like justify, or if that's the right word, don't really back up what I said there, but I got those vibes when I was doing the research. Anyways, their birthdays are 6 days apart. They're both trending with these NBA records. Okay. And I just wanted to add that in extra. And there's probably going to be some stuff in here I missed as well. Sometimes I go slow because I'm trying to, um, you know, I try to find everything I can while presenting. And sometimes I end the video and then I catch some stuff and I'm like, damn, right in front of my face. Let's play this one.
We now want to turn to Nicole Skanger covering the deadly shooting at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia.
Active shooter on the ODU campus.
Shots rang out at Old Dominion University's campus Thursday, sending students scrambling for safety.
But at that time, it was just fight or flight, so I grabbed everything I could and just ran straight out the back door.
The FBI identified the gunman as 36-year-old Mohammed Baylor Jallow and said it's investigating Thursday's shooting.
So they're saying the shooter was age 36. I think 36 lands with the OKC Thunder as well. Let me see here. Oh, I don't. Or maybe it's just Thunder. I think Thunder has the 36, y'all. Let's go over here. Thunder has the 36 and 2 ciphers. They're saying this is a 36-year-old shooter. They're saying it's a 36-year-old shooter.
We now want to turn to Nicole Skanger covering Norfolk, Virginia.
On the ODU campus.
Shots rang out at Old Dominion University's campus Thursday, sending students scrambling for safety.
But at that time, it was just fight or flight, so I grabbed everything I could and just ran straight out the back door.
The FBI identified the gunman as 36-year-old Mohammed Baylor Jallow and said it's investigating Thursday's shooting as a terror attack.
Prior to him conducting this act of terrorism, he stated Allahu Akbar.
Police say the shooter walked into an ROTC training class, killing the instructor, a retired Army officer, and wounding 2 others.
There were students that were in that room that subdued him and rendered him no longer alive.
Students confronted the gunman and one killed him with a knife.
If not for them, I'm not sure, what else he may have done.
Jallow, a former Virginia National Guardsman, pleaded guilty in 2016 to providing support for ISIS, apologizing at the time, saying he was...
All right, so they killed him with the knife, I guess. And that's amazing, man. They said that he's with ISIS or whatever, with all the ICE stuff going on, which is a different group, right? I'm not really like 100% familiar, but ISIS has that 52 like OKC, 52 like OKC Thunder. Okay, you see that right there. What is ISIS like short for? What is ISIS short for? It's got ice in it, just different spelling. Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Right there. Or sometimes the Islamic State of Iraq and al-Sham. It is a terrorist organization. That's what they're saying. Terrorist organization. Interesting. So Thunder has the 36. Look, terrorists even has 52. Right there. Terrorists has 52 like ISIS. Look at that. And then that syncs up with the Thunder as well, the basketball team. That's interesting because you had the OKC bombing as well back in the day with that connection. So, all right, Richard. This is the article. It's that I used, PBS, right here. And as I always do, I scroll down this article to see if anything else pops. Of course, there's going to be a lot of information with the story. I'm not going to go through all of these paragraphs here. So sometimes I'll scroll and I'll just notice a name or a number. And look at this right here. ODU has about 24,000 students. The school has around 240 degree programs. Look at that, 240, 24000. Okay, stuff like that. Okay, so we have a shooter. They say he was killed. He was stabbed, I guess, by subduers. I guess students or something like that. They say he's ISIS connected. They say he's a terrorist. So one victim dead, two injured in shooting at Virginia's Old Dominion University. And something else I wanted to point out. Look, they say campus police say that that's what happened, right? We're not going off of any facts, right? We're not going off of any facts. This is what campus police say, because they are the authority. The campus police are the authority here, and they say that that's what happened. And this was all synced up. That's how you know these stories are connected. I just showed you the proof as I bounce into the next story, and the 127 lands right away with all of those other connections using Shea Gilgis Alexander and his record that he set for most 20-point games in a season in a row. Or most games with 20 plus points in a row, 127. I think I said that right. But I just use that as an example to show you, I could probably find some other stories, obviously, and then the 127 is going to hit again along with other connections, okay? So appreciate you for the request, Richard. Anything else you may come across that you want to add, let me know. Anybody else out there, any bots, let me know. Was my speech right, bots? Did I entertain you? Was I perfect? Okay, until next time.